Um, what? Oh, here we go. Have you had a chance to make it to any of the Black Lives Matter protests? And if you have, what were your experiences there?
I did attend one in Fernandina. It was a younger crowd, and I was really inspired on how many how many young white kids that were like shoulder to shoulder with them. You know, I feel like the demographic out there, like it had to be, it might have been arguably more white people than black people. Like it was a great turnout, and just seeing the youth like involved and just like hipped on current events and just what's going on right now is just it was really inspiring. So I mean it was peaceful, nothing, it wasn't no rioting or anything like that. Like it was planned out, and it was executed well. So my experience, it was great.
Awesome. What is your take on the Black Lives Matter peaceful protest, and then in court and like correlating to like the rioting and the looting that's transpired around those protests?
I believe it's unfortunate because the Black Lives Matter movement is trying to address the civil issues that's going on in America, and the rioting, it takes away from the real cause at hand. So I mean, with so much information being put out there, like you don't know what to really believe. Is it, I mean, sometimes, things do get out of hand, but I truly believe that with every action is a reaction. So I feel like in a lot of states across the country, we've seen a lot of great demonstration of peaceful protests, and it has brought a lot of attention and awareness to what's going on right now. So I mean, the riot and looting, I just feel like it's a distraction. A lot of it, I feel in different states have been staged. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be no conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but you know, for the most part, I feel like the Black Lives Matter movement has been the main pillar to trying to bring change upon this problem.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think some of it's happening because of, the kind of pushback from the police department,
Right.
and then I think some of it is the other side trying to make it look bad.
Yeah, I believe so too. It's just the media, they gonna portray what they want to portray, but I mean, end of the day, when it's a cause that's so prevalent to what's going on, is just it's gonna be some bad backlash to any good cause. And I feel like the media, they choose to show all of the burnings of buildings and cars and stuff like that, but I mean, when you see when you see a execution happen on camera, I mean, I feel like the reaction, I mean, is justified in a sense, because the killings are senseless. But I don't want the rioting and looting to take away from the real matter at hand, and what the Black Lives Matter is bringing to the table.
Definitely. Why do you think we don't see a lot of small town protests? because we see them in big cities and stuff like that, but we're not seeing them in the little towns.
Me personally, I believe it's mostly biased conservatives. You know, most small towns, that's what it is. So I believe a lot of people are not fearful, but more so doubtful to even step to city officials to even execute or do a protest like that. Like they were able to get it together in Fernandina. I don't know what steps that they went to do that, but I seen they had the police officers out there and everything. So I'm not saying that it's impossible, but usually, like I would say, like a Callahan or a Hilliard, like they're more rural, like conservative, you know. So I feel like that's mostly it then, because the support, I don't really feel like you would have that real support from city officials or anything like that, just because it's the climate and just where we from.
Yeah, I'll agree. I definitely agree with that. It's they already have the agenda that they're after, where they don't think it's an issue, and so they're not going to address it.
Right.
What does the Confederate flag, and I'm specifically calling it the Confederate flag because I feel like in the South they change it to rebel flag to try and hide the true meaning or to kind of whitewash it. What does that flag symbolize to you? And then on top of that, what about all these Confederate statues?
Me personally, and I know I speak for my family and and a lot of Black Americans, but the Confederate flag is it's a symbol of hate. It's just a symbol of racism. I mean, we spoke on it earlier about the Civil War, and I mean, you spoke on the article. I mean, that's essentially what it was about. So again, a lot of people want to make it about heritage and Southern pride, and I just feel like those are just little cover ups to really bring upon that, because I mean, from a standpoint to where they're taking down Confederate flags because they understand what it symbolizes. Like I mean, it's facts, it's history. So I mean, I feel like it's America. You have the right to, if you want a rebel flag hanging off your house or on your bumper sticker or anything like that. I mean, that's your free will. But when you're speaking on statues that's in front of football stadiums, or you have schools that's named after Confederate generals that were in the war, like that's in a public setting. So therefore you're gonna have public backlash. I mean, it I feel it's past due. And if I also believe that when you have statues, it's a visual symbol. So it's always a reminder that what ugly history that America had been through. So I feel like it's a step in the right direction, and you know, that's it.
It's interesting that you say, as far as, you're like, if it's your personal house, that's your business, but in the public setting, I I had one other person give me that reason. Like, if it's public, if it's their private property, it's freedom of speech. I can't do anything about it. But when it comes to a public setting, that's a very big issue.
Right. And I mean, just for most businesses and their bottom line, I mean, it's end of the day, it's about money. So again, black people spend money just like white people spend money. So any businessman, they're not gonna let anything interfere with that. So I mean, again, if you putting it in a public setting, then this means that you represent that. Again, personally, if that's what you represent, you can do that in the comfort of your home, or again on your personal, whatever the case may be, shirts or whatever. But I feel like any business or entity outside of that, that's in a public realm, you're gonna deal with backlash. I mean, this is America is trying to evolve and change, and those who are not trying to embrace that change, it's gonna come with backlash.
I agree. I think too, for me, looking at the statues and noticing when a lot of those statues were erected, kind of shows how, A, what they were used for, and B, they don't mean what people are claiming they mean.
But what's crazy about it is that most of the statues that were put up during the 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 civil the Jim Crow era, like when the Martin Luther King era, like most of those statues were put up during that era. So it's like it has a double entendre with it, like a double meaning, along with the visual sentiment that you see with the statue. So like just during during the time and the era that they put them up, and then you having a visual of it, it's just it takes on a whole new meaning.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what I was. That's what I meant when I was saying the era. Because I think if you look at it, most of them were put up during the push for desegregation, and then they
Right.
were put up again during the push for the right to vote. And I'm like, if they're not even hundreds of years old. They're not even
Right.
100 years
this
old.
is this
Like,
is not even 100 years ago. So it's baffling. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's what's crazy about it. Like, they gotta go. Put something cooler up.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, man, if we as people trying to actually, I feel like in most cases, like race relations, it's not really a big issue. I just feel like these are reoccurring events that's happening is is bringing upon this change, because we seen it happen so many times, and then with Colin Kaepernick kneeling in the peaceful protest, and then like with George Floyd's death, it kind of was like the last straw on the camel back. So it's like now you have a whole generation of young white kids that is embracing the Black Lives Matter movement, because again, like I have younger cousins that's come by come by my house all the time, and I know they friends, and like most of their friends, like I like majority of my friends, honestly, like are white, like and his friends are white, so they 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 embracing Black Lives Matter movement, but it's beautiful because in the same breath, those same kids that are walking side by side at these protests, their parents are having to look in the mirror and have to and have to self check, and because your kids' actions is showing you like like this is wrong. This is, you know, we for a better cause, you know. So I think it's beautiful, man. Like